Okay, welcome back. So we've got the market coming off a little bit. I mean, we've just got 14 points now on the Nifty. Deepak Jasani is with us right now from HDFC Securities. He's head of retail research with them. Deepak, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. You know, you got a call on LIC Housing Finance. We were just discussing before we took that break the DHFL numbers, the investor presentation. Ekta was detailing that. So I'll come to LIC Housing, but I just wanted a quick sense, even if you don't cover Dewan Housing officially, what's your sense with what you saw with numbers, etc.?
Yeah, so good morning. We'll not talk about individual companies, but broadly I will give you a sense of what has been happening in the NBFC space. Now, there are some companies who have done well over the last 2 or 3 years due to the liquidity push and the interest rates going down. And there is also a distinction about the vintage and the parentage. So some companies are sort of suffering currently because they have a lower vintage and they don't have a great parentage in terms of the governance norms. So one will have to be very careful as to which companies one is betting on, and whether the corporate governance norms are up to the mark, and whether you will have more skeletons coming out of the cupboard going forward. Temporarily, a lot of these companies are seeing an upward bounce because they were highly oversold. But whether at these high levels you should again get into those from an investment perspective is to each one his own, depending on their perception about the background, the parentage and the vintage of each company.
Deepak, afternoon. Did you look at the DHFL numbers and the presentation as well? Did you have a chat with the management also post?
No, we don't cover that company, so I haven't had a detailed look at the numbers.
What do you look at within the housing finance space, and what do you like maybe?
Yeah, so recently we have had a stock pick, LIC Housing Finance. So that is one stock that we like. This stock has also been beaten down in line with the other NBFC stocks and housing finance stocks. So why do we like LIC Housing Finance? Basically, it's a more than 30-year-old company, 40% owned by LIC of India, having 249 marketing offices in India, asset book of 1,76,000 crores. A lot of investment rationale, some broad industry rationale and some micro rationals, basically rising share of LAP and project loans, huge shortage in the urban and rural housing area, mortgage penetration in India currently at a low level. There are some concerns also. So broadly, we like LIC Housing because of the parentage, because of the vintage, and the product mix, which is undergoing a little bit of change.
Okay, but Deepak, just on that point that you mentioned, that the incremental rise that they'll probably see in their LAP as well as project finance loans, I think that is probably becoming a little bit of a concern for the market. The exposure to builder finance at this point in time. We just heard the investor presentation of DHFL pointed out that they're going to be focusing on retail going forward. Project finance is going to come down to a significant extent. Given that dynamic, do you think that would be a risk for LIC Housing Finance, and how would you account for it?
Yeah, there could be a minor risk arising out of that. In fact, the NPAs for LIC Housing have inched up over the last few quarters. But now you will have to appreciate the fact that the housing finance market is not a smooth market, in the sense that the retail loan demand is not very uniform, and the fund availability with the companies is also not uniform. So at times when you have funds and you cannot disburse loans to the retail due to the demand, you will have to sort of park it with project loans, with LAP, where you have a higher interest margins, but there is a higher risk of NPA. So you will have to balance the two. So going by the fact that the current valuations of LIC Housing is very cheap, I think this is a risk worth taking.
Okay. All right, Deepak, we're going to leave it on that note. Any disclosures?
My relatives and my company does not own these shares.
Okay. All right, Deepak. Thanks very much for joining in. We'll take a break now. But on the other side, F&O Strategies lined up for you. C. Rudramurthy will be with us.
money kept idle.